Hi there, fellow spiritual traveler. My name is Tor. I am an intuitive and guide. I work with my clients in one-to-one intuitive tarot readings, energy healing, and also spiritual guidance. Spirituality, meditation, crystals, tarot cards have been a part of my life since childhood. My grandmother back home in Norway was a clairvoyant medium, and she also worked with the tarot. And I've been working with a spiritual teacher here in London since 2013. Her name is Ines, and she is really the person that truly bolstered my energetic practice into what it is today. In this video, we are going to explore the chakras, what they are, how you can work with them, and why it might be useful for you to know about them as a part of your spiritual journey. So, what are the chakras? The chakras are energy centers within our energy body. We have the aura, which you might have heard about, and we also have the 7 main chakras, although there are also many minor ones spread across our body. And within the aura, there are 7 layers, but I'm going to be talking about that in a separate video. The word chakras come from Sanskrit, which means a wheel, the wheel of life that is always turning. And that's also the thing with the chakras, is that their energetic balance, their energetic setup is always shifting, it's always moving, and we are a part of that continuous process of change, which is why the word wheel, again, comes from Sanskrit. Chakras fits very well in explaining, putting a human label onto that facet of our energetic existence. So why do we work with the chakras often as a part of our spiritual journey? This is more like a metaphor than anything else, but you can imagine that somebody who hasn't yet awoken to their spiritual existence, the light of their energy body is a bit dimmed, whilst when you wake up to your spiritual existence, the colors, the brightness of your chakras and aura becomes higher, it becomes more bright, and it becomes more energetic. Again, I don't want to create or use language of better or worse, more evolved. Somebody who doesn't live a quote-unquote spiritual life can be perfectly happy and cope with life in a very well way. This is more like a way of thinking about the chakras. It's simply a metaphor to create an awareness around that our chakras and aura consists of colors and sounds, and we can experience them as being more dimmed and brighter. And I do strongly believe, and of course that's why I promote this work, that through spiritual and energetic work, we can elevate our minds to become more creative, more hopeful, more positive, and to cultivate a deeper sense of inner strength, which is so much of why we do this work in the end. And so how does imbalances happen? Well, simply by living imbalances within our energy field, within our chakras and aura can come about. Arguments, misunderstandings, disappointment, fears, all of these experiences can destabilize our energy field. And I like to use the language of out of tune. It's like, let's imagine a piano or a guitar. When that is being played and it is out of tune, it doesn't sound very nice, right? And I think of us in the same way, is that we can tune ourselves with meditation by working with the chakras and auras as a way to open ourselves up and to then expand our potential, to expand our potential for creativity, for imagination, for coming up with interesting solutions of how to move through life at this moment in time. In the midst of all of this, it's so important that we are careful with avoiding spiritual elitism when we talk about, I often come across language such as purification or purity, and in the spiritual spaces we can sometimes lean into that language and then unintentionally create division, suggesting that some people are quote unquote pure whilst others are less than or dirty. And again, that doesn't necessarily create the kind of community and society that all of us wants to live on. In truth, we are all just ordinary people, each on our own journey, trying to find our way through this. Spiritual practices are never about making us more than other people. It's about compassion, humility, growth, and taking other people with us on that journey. And yeah, just being more kind. I know it's a bit spiritual to try to say that, but it is also kind of true. I briefly spoke about this earlier in the video, but what happens when we clear our chakras? Well, I have experienced in my life that when I go through the practices of clearing, balancing my chakras, I feel more intuitive, I feel more creative, inspired, motivated, and just more resilient in my daily life. And I think that is the strongest argument for having practices, contemplative practices, to ground, to balance, to open and clear our chakras. You can do it with meditation, you can do it with sound, color visualizations, crystals, I love them, breathwork, or even drinking color-infused water. All of that is possible. It's even about wearing particular clothing. You can, wear orange or purple or anything like that, and that will work with your energy field. An example, for example, is that let's say your third eye is out of balance, and that can lead you to feel more fearful, mentally unclear, foggy, and by imbibing yourself in one way or another with more indigo, that can help you to lift your mind and lift your spirit. And when it is harmonized, that can then help you to become more clear, calm, and I think that often then insights can return back into your mind. One thing I want to make abundantly clear is that energy work is never meant to replace medical professional care, therapy, medicine, and so on and so forth. It's only ever meant to complement the practices that we energy practitioners use. Never replace medical care. For example, when I had COVID really bad, I've had it really bad 3 times, I didn't think I was going to energy heal my way out of that. I had to take medication, I had to rest, I had to be patient, and I think it's only ever meant us to support us and to help us expand, to maintain our sense of inner equilibrium. And of course, sometimes there might be imbalances within our energy centers that are creating physical symptoms. However, again, it's never meant to replace professional medical care. So what does my personal chakra practice look like? Well, as a part of my meditation, my daily meditation practice that I do twice a day, every day, I move through the 7 main energy centers, the chakras. I open them, I clear them, I balance them. And in that opening, I open myself up to channel and to commune and to sit with the guides, my inner guidance, the eternal force, and to bring forward the knowledge and then sort of inspiration of how I want to move through my life and to give me that support. When it comes to my personal chakra practice, I also tend to stay away from the other sort of Sanskrit names and symbols that I used within the chakras. I realized that people use them, and that's totally fine. But again, beyond the word chakra, I don't really use any of the other Sanskrit names for them because, first of all, it is from a different culture. And also, it's our human labels that we have placed upon them. At the end of the day, they are just color and sound, and we can work with them in our practice of contemplation to perceive the chakras that are unique to us. And that's also what I think is really important, is that we establish our own energy language when it comes to working with the chakras and to sit with each one of them individually, because there's so much knowledge and wisdom and insights that sits within each chakra, each level of consciousness, to deepen your understanding of yourself, why you are here, the path that you are on. Because as you sit within each one of those rooms, you can receive a deeper understanding and deeper acceptance of your purpose this time around. Well, to be able to do that, we also have to move beyond our physical understanding of them. And it's about illuminating our inner world. And through illuminating our inner world, we can bring that guidance, that understanding into our daily life, and then perhaps approach our life in a different way, a more positive, hopeful, empowered, motivated way, right? That doesn't mean that we won't feel like crap certain days. I certainly do. But I do think that my daily meditative practice that includes the chakras helps me to recover and repair much quicker. So a final fun thing that I wanted to end on is that you can of course also use the tarot to work with your chakras. So like, for example, let's say you are focusing on your red base chakram, and you can ask the tarot, what does my red base chakram need today to bring it back into balance? And so, pulling 4 cards, I'm going to pull one. All right, so I pulled the King of Pentacles reversed, the King of Pentacles. That's very fitting because, as we know, the red base chakram often is about stability and groundedness and how we're feeling. And arguably what that is suggesting is that you need grounding. And I think that's a great message to end on. So you can use the tarot as a way to understand what it is that your chakras need in this moment in time. If you feel like you can't get there yourself and you need an instrument, an externalized instruments to find that information. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, subscribe button, comment, ask questions, share with friends who you might think might need this. If you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, perhaps develop your tarot practice, your energy practice, your inner journey practice, you can always head over to my website, www.torniamo.com, to get in touch, and then we can start working together. Thank you so much for listening.